He is someone who has generously given of his time to visit with us. We love visiting with someone who writes his column for the Marina Times. It's called The Coastal Commuter. On social media, he's called Culture Blaster. You can find Michael Snyder at Culture Blaster. He joins us on a rainbow every Friday. Oh, my goodness. What an entrance. Michael Snyder, everyone. Hi, Michael.
Good morning. Good morning. And I just finally learned what BTS stands for. Being too successful. Oh, come on, guys. Enough's enough. Seriously.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I'm feeling good. I'm double vaxxed, but I just found out about the third potential Pfizer vaccination
and
booster.
Go for another one.
And I get it because the Delta variant is scarier than the Delta Airlines, Delta House, Delta Blues, Delta Force, and Delta Burke put together. I mean, if you have to.
Good grab on Delta Burke, by the way.
Thank you. If you have no systemic issues, people, get vaccinated.
Yeah, I think that's a very good advice. Everybody who's getting that Delta variant, they seem to be, well, everyone who's been hospitalized has been someone who didn't have the vaccine.
Exactly.
So and everyone who's died has been someone who hasn't had the
vaccine. Even if you contracted, the vaccine will prevent you, hopefully, from anything serious.
Yeah, I want to pay you a compliment first before you start, and then you can share with us what you have to share.
Sure.
I really enjoyed, was it Summer of Soul? Is that what it's called, the documentary?
Summer of Soul, or The Revolution will not be televised, but now it's going to be.
Well, 50 years later, I guess they've had this film. I mean, it was filmed back then on tape, maybe, but
it was film.
Yeah, it was film, and they had it had been warehoused, and it hadn't been seen, and then Questlove brought it all together with interviews and people who are actually performers there on stage seeing it. These are all things that you told us last week, but I went back and watched it. I mean, after you finished raving about it, and you're right, it's great.
It's wonderful, and the amazing thing about this is the sound and visuals are superb. We have the capability of boosting that stuff in 2021, but I believe the raw material was great. A series of concerts in a park in Harlem over the course of the summer of 1969. And let me say that a lot of people are tearing up. And in fact, while I watched, and I'm not a big gospel fan, there's a moment when
How dare you? You're not a big gospel fan?
Hey, I'm
not. Oh my God!
I'm not a believer, Mark.
Well, exactly. That's your problem.
But I do believe
you cannot say you love your country.
Go ahead. You can continue under protest.
I believe in good music. I believe in good art. So I want you to know there's a moment when the grande dame of gospel at the time, Mahalia Jackson, is on stage, and she kind of passes the torch to Mavis Staples of the Staple Singers.
The very best.
And if you don't get a little misty then, why, I think you're not alive, people.
You're right. No, that is a great, great moment. And Mavis Staples and the Staples Singers, we've talked about them on the show before in another context, just the greatest. They took gospel into the mainstream, into the top 10.
And we say with great pride, a Bay Area family. They are
so cool.
Bay Area based. Anyway, let's get down to business.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
And I want to say, first off, I find it disingenuous when reviewers who are negatively disposed to a specific type of film reviewers, still go out there and review the movie, and we're supposed to take their review as something unbiased or relatively
You mean
biased.
like a genre, like if you don't like sci-fi, but you still go out and review a sci-fi
I know
movie.
that there are people out there, some colleagues that don't like science fiction, that don't like superhero stuff, that don't like animation. They review them. They give a negative review, and I think it's kind of unfair
It's not kind of unfair. It's completely unfair.
Well, anyway, listen, let's just say right here and now, as a dyed-in-the spandex fan of superhero comics and a connoisseur of comic book movies, I believe I know the good ones from the bad ones, people. Yeah. I've got suspension of disbelief for days when it comes to these, mega-powered flights of fantasy, and as it happens, another pop culture passion of mine is espionage, whether it's depicted in novels or movies or TV shows. I'm all in for spy-fi, high tech and otherwise. So it makes sense that my favorite film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if I absolutely had to pick one, would be Captain America, the Winter Soldier, wherein the Star-Spangled Avenger discovers a coup brewing in the U.S., a near indestructible Russian sleeper agent, international terror, blackmail. That's like red meat to me. So with that in mind, I have to say that I was an easy target for Black Widow, which is the latest Marvel movie giving us the backstory of Scarlett Johansson's sleek, agile, cat-suited Russian-turned-American super spy, Natasha Romanoff. And it shows us what she was up to.
Scarlett Johansson's sleek, cat-suited
agile.
display. Agile. It was the best superhero movie ever. Scarlett Johansson was so, her comeliness was so special.
Please, Mr. Burns, control yourself. In any event, this shows what she was up to between Captain America Civil War and the Avengers Infinity War movie, two of the more recent films in Marvel's 20-plus cavalcade of blockbusters. So if Winter Soldier was the superhero equivalent of 3 Days of the Condor, and I think of it as that, then Black Widow puts the Marvel heroine into the middle of a James Bond-style, globe-trotting, supervillain, power-brokering extravaganza, complete with gadgetry, daredevil driving, and tightly choreographed martial arts face-offs. Plus, this introduces her adopted family. Mom's played by the esteemed Rachel Weisz. Father is played by the ever-solid David Harbour from Stranger Things. And little sister is played to the hilt as an adult by the awesome and versatile Florence Pugh. Totally on the rise. She starred in Midsummer, The Little Drummer Girl, Little Women, Fighting with My Family. And she's great here as Yelena, who, like Scarlett's Natasha, was recruited as a kid by the brutal Russian spy school, the Red Room, and she has a wonderful adversarial relationship with her sister and basically steals every scene she's in. Is Black Widow like a great achievement in film? No, but it is absolutely fun and engaging, spotlighting Natasha's life and various capers, giving you the backstory, action, banter. The widow and her allies are trying to stop some evil plan by a dictatorial Ruski evildoer played by Ray Winstone and his living weapon. Look, it fills in some MCU holes for the devotees, and it also offers Easter eggs and a little look at Marvel's future.
Wow.
Nice direction by Kate Shortland, written by Eric Pearson, in theaters where I recommend that vaccinated people should see it if they're game, and on premium pay for play via Disney Plus. And either way, it is a top grade popcorn muncher. It's the antithesis of F9, which is like...
Right, which is all action and stuff going... Yeah, this has real story, you're saying, and it's got this kind of James Bondy thing. That sounds kind of cool. Okay.
It's fun. Okay, let's move on. Populated by a cast of fresh-faced newcomers and little-known but capable character actors, and made with the bare necessities needed to tell its story, First Date is an energetic, amusing first effort from the screenwriting directing team of Manuel Crosby and Darren Knapp, and it fuses a teen rom-com, a coming-of-age tale, and a gang that shouldn't, couldn't, and wouldn't shoot straight crime caper into a very enjoyable, albeit bumpy ride-along as this kid, timid but earnest, kind-hearted, a high schooler played by Tyson Brown, tries his best to finesse a date with his cute, no-nonsense neighbor Kelsey, and clumsily manages to set one up. But unfortunately, his parents are on a romantic weekend getaway in the family SUV, so the kid is basically scrambling to secure a serviceable used car for the date to impress the girl. And the vehicle he secures is in all ways a problem, putting him in the crosshairs of petty criminals, vicious drug dealers, cops of questionable morality, his parents, her parents, and a smug jock from his high school. Hey, there's a Northern California hook here, since First Date was shot in Calaveras and Amador County. Plus, Crosby lives in South Lake Tahoe. Knapp is a Valley Springs native, and regardless of where it was made, it has the vitality and promise of early films crafted by people like Robert Rodriguez, who started small and made it big. As a First Date goes, this is both harrowing and a good time. It's in theaters and also available on demand via Amazon Prime, iTunes, Vudu, Fandango Now, Google Play.
Not perfect, but you really like it. Okay.
I enjoyed it. You know, I wish I loved everything I watched, but if I did, I'd be like the Will Rogers of movies. I never saw a film I didn't like, but I'm not that guy. Will Rogers reference for the old people, very old people.
Not familiar with them, but all right. Go
okay. Look, if Australia has its own equivalent to the Lifetime or Hallmark channels, they'd be the ideal place for Long Story Short, even though the movie is not like one of those cable TV regulars, because they have a female protagonist mostly, and Long Story Short has a man at the heart. And the good news is that the man in the lead role of Teddy is the likable and skilled British actor Rafe Spall, who's done drama, comedy, crime thrillers, and is in fact the son of the wonderful and ubiquitous character actor Timothy Spall. But Rafe has to carry a rather wispy rom-com with a supernatural subtext. He's a nice guy who procrastinates on so many things to the distress of his bride that it blows up in his face. On the day after his wedding, he suddenly finds himself leaping forward year by year when only minutes have passed for him, and he sees the damage his carelessness has brought about. So can he turn back the clock, regain all the lost time, fix his relationships? Look, it's well-meaning, has some amusing and sweet moments, and the entire cast is game, especially Spall, who has the lion's share of the screen time. But as it skims through Teddy's future, and the important word here is skims, it lacks depth, giving the viewer little to cling to for emotional impact. Maybe long story short should have been longer or more daring. As it is, it's kind of pleasant piffle that evaporates seconds after it's viewed. You can see it in theaters or on demand via Amazon Prime, Vudu, Fandango Now, etc.
You want to do a 20-second review? I don't really have much. I feel like I don't want to cheat you, though. Can you do anything?
Yeah.
Go.
America, the motion picture. I was excited. Okay. People had worked on TV's Hilarious Archer, the cartoon series, and the awesome movie Into the Spider-Verse, but America the Motion Picture is an anachronistic animated alt comedy with scrambled history that features a chainsaw-wielding George Washington and his best bro Abe Lincoln facing off against the British forces and their traitorous American ally, Benedict Arnold, who's a werewolf, and it gets worse from there. Look, it strains, it's well-animated, it's well-animated, but thoroughly unfunny. The air, I don't know, it sucked out of the room as I'm watching this thing. The alt in alt comedy, by the way, stands for alternative. What's the alternative to comedy? Apparently no laughs. And you got Channing Tatum, Simon Pegg, Judy Greer, Andy Samberg, Will Forte, Bobby Moynihan, talented people doing the voice work, talented people behind the project. It's a stiff. America, the Motion Picture on Netflix. I'm so sorry.
But anachronistic does get a ding, please, Chris. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Black Widow, you really liked. You liked the fact that there's a script there for real, and it's also got a little superhero stuff, but you really like the kind of... Yeah.
It was fun. It was standalone. It was about her family. Yeah. Again, these are not... This is not... this isn't... Dr. Zhivago. I mean, there are Russians involved, but, it's Marvel.
I get it. Okay. So you liked First Date, although you didn't love it. You thought it had some issues, but you thought there were enough there maybe to check it out. You liked A Long Story Short had some... no, am I wrong? It
was pretty weak sauce.
Yeah, okay. Weak sauce on Long Story Short. And America, the Motion Picture, is the true bad one. You can not... Don't waste your time with America, the Motion Picture.
America, the country, not bad.
America, the country, yeah, some notes, but generally there's some good stuff there, I think, America, the country.
For sure.
Kim does have... do we have time for a compliment for Michael? Kim very much likes your reviews. Yeah.
I do. I like your reviews very much. You've turned me on to some great things. When I'm not hanging out with Mark on the radio, I listen to him, and so I always hear you. And one of the things you turned me on to was Enola Holmes, and my kids love that movie. So thank you.
It's great fun for the whole family, and you're very, very welcome. I live to serve, or something.
Very, very nice. Michael, you can read him in the Marina Times, and you can also follow him on social media at Culture Blaster. He comes and goes on a rainbow. We love him. Bye, Michael.
Bye, everyone.